Welcome to Sunset Hotline. I'm Marcus. I'm here with Jesse.
Hey.
Working on Cruis'n Exotica. This is a driver that I have, and he's about to do something to it because it just looked a little like not even fuzzy. I mean, it was like the contrast was up too high or something.
Yeah, contrast is up too high, and it had a little bit of a pincushion where the screen kind of bows in a little bit.
Cool. Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this neck board out. So this is the board that provides the RGB to the CRT itself. This one here has a lot of heat. All right, so there, this actually, you can actually see heat right there as those pins turn kind of a rainbowy color.
Oh, right.
Because this is the actual electron gun. It shoots the image to the phosphor. And then this is connection to that huge thing that's got lots of power. You gotta just be careful. But because of the heat, a lot of time this board right here has a lot of bad solder over the years.
Because it heats up and cools down.
As you can tell right here, there's some solder issues where it's been baking.
Oh,
and in fact, there's also a spot right here where the trace actually is lifted off of the board itself.
Oh, no shit.
So we're gonna have to fix that. That way it won't be a problem in the future. And that's because these transistors here have these big heat sinks, so it creates a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And you know, gravity.
So over time, the heating up, the cooling down, and the weight of those is pulling on it.
Yeah, the expanding and the contracting.
Yeah.
Eventually, you have a problem here on the board. So what we're going to do is we're going to reflow some fresh solder.
Cool.
And then see how it goes.
Nice.
Now, after that, if it still has that pincushion issue, then we're going to have to do a recap.
All right.
And that's replacing the capacitors throughout the whole board.
Okay.
And then it should be very similar to the one next to us.
And you legitimately just pulled that straight out.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can see, like he's saying that they are, you can definitely tell how hot those get. Because they're...
Yeah, these pins right here are normally just silver. But you see how they're like bluish with a little bit of a tint to it?
Yep.
Yeah, because just think of this as like an old tube from the old school radios, the tubes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same idea.
Cool, okay.
So we're gonna go ahead and reflow that solder and see what happens.
Awesome.
This is the one that has that board or the trace lifting on the board. So I'm gonna kind of push that back down there. So we're just reflowing fresh solder in case there's a cold joint anywhere, because cold joints are your enemy.
And that's basically where whatever peg the solder's on separates from the actual like pad, right?
So you'll see the solder you'll see the solder around the pin, and when it has a cold solder joint, you'll actually see a crack all the way around where it actually breaks away from the pad.
Yeah. And
so the component is literally just loose, and it's making connection barely, but then heat and cold causes the contract, and so it makes it lose connection, and it's just not consistent.
Yeah.
So by reflowing the solder, it'll weld it back together, basically.
Cool.
So these right here are those transistors that you saw on the other side. They're really heavy.
Yeah.
And those ones are the ones that mostly get the cold solder joints, because the weight and gravity and then the heat and all of that other stuff just play all in the role of the solder just losing the connection, causing a cold joint. So we'll reflow all of these, and then we'll recheck it again. See how it is. Yeah, not all of them. Just only certain components. Okay.
Can you tell what kind of monitor this is?
This one is no. It might be one of those Wells Gardner ones.
But it is different than the other Cruisin that I have.
I don't know. I haven't looked in there yet.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
If they came from different lots. And yeah, it would be a different monitor. Pretty easy, pretty quick. Just a reflow. Yeah. Pull a Bob Ross on this.
Yeah, totally.
Happy little pin, right?
Happy little solder.
Yeah. Look at that. It flows in there nice and soft.
And you don't have to use any flux on this, right? Because it's an existing solder, so the solder flows to where the solder is, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's a small amount of rosin inside of these, inside of the solder.
Okay.
So, yeah, the only time you need to use flux is if you're trying to remove or replace a component on a fresh board, then you need that. Because flux really does help to keep solder where it needs to go.
Okay.
It's especially useful if you're trying to solder chips, because a lot of times you'll bridge the pins. The solder just keeps it from bridging. No, I'm sorry, the flux just keeps it from bridging.
Mm-hmm. Kind of keeps it in its own lane.
That's right. That's why when you solder these little tiny chips with like 50 pins, you use the flux and you just drag your solder across the soldering iron, and it literally just sucks the solder into the pin.
Yeah.
Without bridging. It'll bridge a couple of times, but then you can just keep hitting it and it'll eventually separate. There's a lot of technique when it comes into soldering. It's all about gravity. Gravity helps. Alright, we're pretty much done. I'm just hitting a couple more here and there. Okay. All right. When you're done, make sure you properly clean your soldering iron.
Which I do all the time. No, I'm just kidding. That's my soldering iron, and the tip was acceptable, right, Jesse? It wasn't.
Now it's exceptional.
Oh, sweet.
All right, let's see what we got. Oh. Don't do this at home. Especially a monitor like this, because it's scary. Okay.
Wow.
So now let's plug it in and see what we got.
This one's a little nicer, or it comes up a little bit brighter, but hopefully this one's improved. It looks brighter. Look how much brighter it is.
A little bit.
Link enabled.
That's right. Master slave.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
Well, it looks a little better.
I think it looks better. We didn't show you guys it before, but it was basically a little bit
like white.
Yeah.
So this one's still a little sharper than this one, but look at the bowing; it's kind of gone away a little bit.
Yeah, and it's weird on the camera. It almost looks the opposite. It's weird. I guess it's a little more vibrant.
Yeah. Yeah, this one it could be a different brand. different model screen.
I mean, if they weren't side by side, you wouldn't really even notice. It's just because by itself, it looks pretty good.
So maybe we can adjust the colors on this one.
Sure.
And,
Okay.
And maybe we can adjust the colors on this one so that they can match.
Match a little bit more, yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. I think this one needs a little bit of red.
We've got a sweet mirror rigged up for Jesse right here. Took this down from our bathroom and attached it to a mic stand with a piece of wood.
That.
You know, it's definitely got a more pop to it. It's really, I think it's definitely improvement over what it was.
So what we can do is we can pull the colors back just a little bit on this one, and then they can match.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so there it is. Reflowed the, what do you call it? The neck board?
Yeah, the neck board.
Not neck beard.
Not neck beard.
Neck board.
Yeah.
So reflowed, so that's awesome. Does look better than it was. And yeah, the bowing is, I don't see it anymore. So, thanks you guys for watching. This is another episode of Out of Order, Sunset Hotline. Later on.